So the FTC just dropped a bomb on April 23rd, 2024 about non-compete, saying moving forward, you can no longer enforce a non-compete. Matter of fact, they want you to go back and change the wording on your old non-competes. This applies to technology, engineering, sales, business development, finance, accounting, healthcare, creative services. They're claiming that now in America, according to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, 55% of private U.S. companies enforce a non-compete. They're claiming that by banning non-competes, the FTC estimates new businesses will grow by nearly 3%, 8,500 new businesses. American workers' earning will increase by $400 billion to $488 billion in the next decade. And on top of that, healthcare costs will be reduced by $74 to $194 billion. So I'm going to show you two things. One, people making the argument why this is terrible and why within 24 hours, multiple people actually sued the FTC, U.S. Chamber of Commerce being one of them. And we'll make the argument why some people are saying this is a great thing. All right, so if you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So there's a bunch of things that it says what the commission is empowered to do. Let me kind of summarize some of it here. Obviously, their job is to go after deceptive acts, anything that happens where it's theft, bullying, monopoly, investigating practices that are not proper, and reports, legislative recommendations to Congress and public. Anyway, there's a lot of different things that these guys do. And now you got to keep in mind at first, anytime they come up with something like this, they don't have a lot of power. And all of a sudden, boom, in 1975, Congress gave the FTC authority to adopt industry-wide trade regulation rules. Okay, what do you mean by that? Exactly what it means. We can impose our weight. We can push our weight around and say, we don't like the way you're doing this. We don't like the way you're doing that. And some people say they're necessary because what do you do with monopoly laws? I was on a call with a company today that you use to recruit others, employees. It's like a software. You know who it is. You use the website regularly. And they said to us, yeah, it's $77,000 a year to use the services. We're like, can you work with us? This is a lot of money you're talking about here. No, it's $77,000. There's not a lot of different options out there. We're the only one. And that's what our number is right now in the marketplace. We don't have a place to go to. That's a monopoly. Back in the days when people were making phone calls, AT&T had monopoly. Some may say Apple has a monopoly today, although nobody else is competing to make a better phone than this. Droid fell apart. Huawei's no longer competing here because of them being banned. BlackBerry's gone, Nextel is gone. There's not a lot of people competing in this space. We need other options because guess what Apple says? Yeah, what are you going to do? Go to second place person. I don't want to go to Android because I use iTunes. I use it. So there is an element of FTC that they do good. But let me kind of break down what this rule that they voted for 3-2. By the way, if you want to know who voted 3-2, here's the folks that voted. The chair, Lena Khan, voted yes. Then you had Rebecca Slaughter voted yes. Alvaro Bedoya voted yes. Melissa Holyoke voted no. And Andrew Ferguson voted no. 3-2, the ones that voted for it. 1, the 2 didn't. And now it is what they're talking about. And here's what it looks like. The commission has determined that non-competes are an unfair method of competition and therefore violate Section 5 of the FTC. The final rule prohibits employers from entering into non-competes with workers on or after the effective date. The rule also prohibits employers from enforcing existing non-competes with workers other than senior executives. The rule takes in effect 120 days from publication in the Federal Register, which means April 23rd, 120 days. You can go May, June, July, August 23rd. This thing goes into effect. When they announced this, you had a couple different organizations that immediately decided to sue these guys. And these two organizations that sued them, one of them was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the Business Roundtable filed a lawsuit against the agency in federal court in Eastern District of Texas. Another one filed a lawsuit in federal court in the Northern District of Texas by Business Tax Services from Bryan. And there's many other ones right now that are being talked about. Anyways, what does this really mean? Let me kind of unpack it for you, and we'll go into a little bit more of these decisions that they're making. Imagine if a husband and wife today, in many states, when they get a divorce, a lot of men are worried about getting married, and marriage is not that popular today. Some men are even saying, I don't want to get married under the guidelines of the government. I'd much rather just get married under the guidelines of whatever faith I believe in. Who cares what the government thinks? Why? Because men are worried that if they work so hard for their wealth, and whoever it is, whoever the breadwinner is, say the woman worked hard and she's worth $20 million. She's marrying a guy that's a teacher making 73 grand. She's worried, okay, if we get a divorce, do I have to give him half of what I have? Well, according to the laws, if you don't have a nuptial agreement, the answer is yes, right? Okay, so imagine if all of a sudden we got rid of non-competes, but we also got rid of these laws that if God forbid something happens, the breadwinner no longer has to pay the other person anything. Now you're good, you'll move forward. What do you mean? Well, you're not protected. I can move away and go to another woman and I'm not How many husbands are still in a marriage not wanting to get a divorce because they're worried about giving a 50%? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? You may say, well, that's a terrible thing. That's not right to stay in a marriage like that. But there's a part of it that's also a commitment that one must make to the other person. Some may make that argument. Now, FTC makes the argument that roughly 1 in every 5 Americans, totaling nearly 30 million people, are subject to non-competes. And the commission even said, the chair said, we got 26,000 comments, of which 25,000 of them were very supportive of it. Again, can you imagine if there's 26,000 divorces and 25,000 men respond and say, we love this new rule. I didn't have to leave anything behind. I don't have any responsibilities to my wife or the breadwinner, husband or the wife. I'm fine. I'm free. I love this new thing you guys did, America. Oh, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for the fact that I don't have to leave anything behind for whoever the other person is that's taking care of the home, the homemaker. What would you say to it? It doesn't necessarily mean that this is a good thing. It just means the people that don't want to hold to their commitments of the non-compete are now free. That's what that really means. Now, this continues with the non-compete rule. A couple things here. Less than 1% of workers are estimated to be senior executives under the final rule. However, the final rule defines the term senior executive as workers earning more than $151,164 who are in policy-making decisions, meaning those folks can stay under the non-compete rule because you're an executive, you have influence, they can still enforce the non-compete with you, although it's still a little bit blurry. The rule includes an exception that allows non-competes between sellers and buyers of a business, meaning you're buying a business from me, you pay me $100 million. I can't the next day go steal all your employees and start the same exact business and say, wait a minute, that's not non-compete. So think about it. If non-competes are not there for businesses, who the hell would ever buy a business? Why would you buy a business? The founder's going to go take everybody and move with them, start the business all over again, sell it to somebody else. So at least that part is staying in. Couple other things here. The rule does not ban existing non-competes with senior executives. Remember the definition of the senior executive. The rule simplifies the notice and compliance with requirements for employers. The rule expands the sale of a business exception. So some of the industries that are going to be affected by it, I gave you 5 of them earlier. Here's technology and engineering. From proprietary systems to emerging inventions, tech firms frequently request non-competes from key engineers, developers, product designers, and other specialized roles to retain competitive advantage in a fast-moving industry. In some high-tech fields where employers have access to extremely sensitive information about new technologies, non-compete agreements could last as long as 2 years. Now, the chair may say, that's trade secrets. It's still intact. The chair may say, well, that's a complete different rule we're going. That's NDAs. This is not an NCA. But again, that's a little bit of a wiggle room, and there's some gray area here. Now, second one. Sales and business development. Sales talent with client Rolodexes and pitch mastery built from a company's training resources and brand represents prime targets for competitors poaching to protect their business relationships. Sales teams often sign non-competes. A non-compete agreement, also known as a covenant not to compete or restrictive covenant, is a legal contract that prevents an employee from competing with their employer after leaving or being terminated. Non-compete agreements are often used with a seller transfer a substantial amount of business to a new buyer. The agreement typically requires a seller to promise not to start businesses within a certain geographic area for specified payment. Again, that's a non-compete when you sell the business. I had to sign a non-compete when I sold the business. They may say non-compete is different than non-solicitation in this area, right? That's different. Trade secret is engineers and all that stuff. But sales poaching, that's non-solicitation. That's what that's all about, right? So now you're dealing with that one. Let's go into the next one, which is finance and accounting. Portfolio managers, tax experts, and senior corporate finance positions rely heavily on cultivated professional expertise and knowledge around a company's investment holding, deals, clients, and strategies. Binding non-competes aim to prevent immediate use of this insider access to undermine the former employer. Now you have access to information. Somebody may say, non-disclosure agreement, is that still intact? Yes. Is there an element of trade secrets here? Maybe. And then you have healthcare, doctors, nurses, technicians, and researchers commonly sign non-competes because patient bases, treatment methods, medical discoveries represent hugely valuable yet highly portable assets if defecting staff take roles with competing hospitals, practices, or drug companies. A typical non-compete clause for physicians includes a geographic distance, such as radius from a hospital, and restricts from them accepting a job within a certain time period. So you're working out of LA, and they say you can go be a doctor at another hospital, but within a 50-mile radius, you can't do it. Okay. You don't want to be a direct competitor to take our patients over to your place. I can see why that could be an issue. And last but not least, creative services, design firms, ad agencies, media producers, market research outfits lean on non-competes for distinctive roles to block replicating creative products, campaigns, programming, and other commercial art unique to agencies and crafted through their resources. I mean, look, you can sit there and say whatever you want about these industries. This is going to change the game in a major way. And by the way, they're making the arguments why this is a healthy thing. People that are arguing for why this is good to get rid of non-competes are saying the following. 1, inhibition of employee mobility and career growth, potential for wage suppression, stifling innovation and competition, regional economic disparities, legal and ethical concerns. That's for non-competes being a good thing, and some people say non-competes not a good thing. Protection of trade secrets and intellectual property, investment in employee and training, maintaining competitive advantage, business stability and planning. So why would I invest more money into you if I know within 6 to 12 months you're going to leave me to another place? Why would I do that? Why would I constantly have that kind of an environment where I'm worried about you losing me? You're not going to give me your best because God forbid. So it's going to, again, it pins the employer and the employee against each other even more, the talent and the company. There's already plenty of it happening when people are leaving and going to other companies. This just makes it even nastier. And believe it or not, a lot of people wouldn't even want to start a business. Like, what is the incentive of wanting to start a business and recruit and build a company, knowing the fact that whatever I did to that guy, all my guys are going to do to me. So why would you not do it to me, right? It's like, imagine you're in a relationship. You used to be married. I took your wife, and now she's my wife. What makes me believe my wife is not going to do it to me, to another guy that comes in with a little bit more money, with a nicer car, nicer? You should not be surprised, right, if that took place. So there's an element of that where some people are talking about it. Now, you may say, I don't have a problem with that. I'm comfortable with that. Great. But that is the argument today. Not a lot of people are happy about this, who are actual job creators and entrepreneurs. It's going to be interesting to see who else sues them. Industries are going to be impacted by this in many different ways. Now, some of you guys may say, that's a terrible analogy. A wife leaves you, and then here she leaves you. Why would you say such a thing about someone? Let me explain you both sides, right? I got two sides. I got the side that believes future looks bright. I got my paranoid side. It's okay to have both sides. Let me give you the argument on both sides. On one side, we're at an event at SLS 3 years ago. One of our guys, Tim, he'll remember this, is sitting there, and he runs a transportation business, does very well for himself, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful family, very successful guy, and says, what am I going to do if one of my guys wants to leave me? And this is pre-non-competes. And what if this guy leaves? And what if that guy leaves? And what if this guy leaves? And I pause and I'm like, let me ask you a question. How long have you been married? He says, 10 years. I said, why hasn't your wife left you yet? He said, he has nothing to say. So are you the richest man in the world? No. Are you the sexiest man in the world? No. Are you the best looking guy in the world? No. Are you the strongest man in the world? No. I said, me neither. But why don't you go to sleep at night worrying about your wife leaving you? For 5 minutes, he doesn't have an answer. Do you know once he got the answer, what he did? He got a big ass painting, and it's behind his desk. He finally said it. It was a moment where the entire room was silence. And he says, because I deliver. I said, exactly. Why would you go to sleep worrying about it? She has to go find another man that's going to deliver the way you are as a father, as a husband, as a provider. Are you freaking kidding me? If she leaves you, let her leave you. But she's not going to leave you because you deliver. So part of the employer's job is to deliver on their promises, so you increase retention. But the other part with this as well, the reason why I gave you that crazy analogy at the beginning about divorces and the breadwinner leaves with everything, the other person gets nothing. All this does, FTC, I understand what you're doing. I think you have a role that you play. All this does is you make it easier for people to get divorces. We're already having plenty of divorces in America. This is going to make divorces even increase. All this does is making great companies that are cohesive, working well together. All this does is say, yeah, I'll go get a divorce. And then they're going to get into the next marriage and marry somebody. The employers come to them and they start a business and they divorce them and they divorce them and they divorce them. And innovation for somebody that's a big thinker may discourage them to say, why would I want to go 20 years and work this hard to build a big business? Why would I want to go build the next this? Why would I want to go build the next Amazon, the next Facebook, the next Walmart, Sam Walton, 2.5 million employees? Why would I want to do that? That's what it disincentivizes. It discourages the entrepreneur wanting to go through that kind of suffering and a pain of building a business. And I'm assuming the people at FTC, if you really respect and admire job creators, small business owners, you know how hard it is. If you really know how hard it is, we have to find a way to protect them because they make our economy grow. 49% of our jobs, I believe, is from small business owners. Anyways, those are my thoughts on what I think about this FTC. I think it's very important if you're a business owner to be following the story closely. So if you're watching this right now, you're like, I'm worried about how this is going to affect my business. I don't know who to talk to. I want to talk to a right lawyer. I need a recommendation. No problem. This is why we built the app, Connect, and I get back to people within 24 hours and I answer with an audio. If you haven't downloaded the app Connect, download the app Connect. Either ask me the question, I'll give you my referrals, or go find legal and other lawyers and other people in sales, your industry, ask them and saying, how are you handling this new FTC issue? Don't wait to get the answers from public. You be proactive. Download the app, start connecting today. My QR code is here. You can ask me a question. I'll give you a couple of referrals on who you can talk to in regards to this issue. All right, so if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Got another video I want you to watch. It's about the welfare epidemic we have in America, $1 trillion that we're paying. You're paying for it. If you've never seen that video, click here to watch that video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.